Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I am doing my first actual picture in Rooms of Wonder. That is not a copy, and I'm going to be doing this little outside library. I thought this was so cute when I saw it in our flip through, and I really want to get started on it. So today I'm going to be using my Polychromos pencils. I will also be using a Derwent Drawing White, and I'm going to test out a Prismacolor blending pencils. So let's get started. Now I'm going to be doing the background, the sky first, and a lot of this is repetitive. This is clearly, there's lots of stars, so it's a night sky, so I will double the speed on some of this just so it doesn't get exceptionally long and tedious. But I will try to avoid talking during those sped up parts, just so that in case you want to, you can slow it back down again, in case you want to see it completely in real time. You just go into your YouTube settings on each video and you can decide your speed there. I will still show you like each pencil. I'll show you maybe like a minute or so in normal time, just so you can get an idea of what I'm doing, and then I will speed up after that. So with this indigo blue or dark indigo, I will go down to about the level of the books on the bottom branch, sort of like the top level of them, but I won't go all the way down to the actual branch. And I'll do that all the way across, and then we will blend in with a slightly lighter colour. So I'm changing now to my Indanthrene Blue, and I'm going to go over all of the indigo first, and then I'm going to bring this blue down to the level of the bottom branches and just all the way across on both sides of the paper. So I'm going to go ahead now and use my Cobalt Blue. So I'm going to start out just like I did with the Indanthrene. I'm going to layer it over the Indanthrene and some of the Indigo, but I'm not going to go any higher than what you're currently seeing on the screen. Probably not even as high as that. So probably maybe sort of where those little twigs on that top branch is sort of coming down, I'll go to about there, I think, and then I'll bring it down a little bit, but not too much. Those little hanging flowers are coming down from the branch. They're going to be lights, so as I'm getting towards those, I will lighten up even further and go into sort of the lighter of the cobalt colors. So I will obviously show you in double speed, so you'll still get to see where I'm going, but just make sure you don't go too far down. So I'm going to start now with it's my light cobalt turquoise. It's hard to see the name on this, it's rubbed off, but you can still see the number if you're unsure. So as you can see, I've taken the other colour down to about the top of those my little flower lamps, and now I'll just blend this in. So this will be my lightest shade of blue. Anything under this will be, I think, either my cream or maybe like a light yellow glaze, I'm thinking. So we'll see which one I use, but it will be a very, very light shade of yellow. So I decided to go with my light cadmium yellow just for the light. I'm only putting in a little bit now. I'll probably work on this probably more so when we get to part 2, I'm thinking. So I'm not going to add any color to the leaves or anything that's under here. I will sort all of that out when we get to part 2. If not, we're going to be here for absolutely ages. So I've decided to bring out my Cobalt Green, and I'm just going to blend this a little bit into some of the lighter blue tones, not quite in too much into the light Cobalt Blue, but more so into the Cobalt Blue on top of that again. So up towards the lower parts of that branch that we're about to hit now, just to get a little bit of that cobalt shade in, more of that cobalt shade into that blue as well. Really, the whole thing with this is just to try and get the layers happening here, especially when we get back up again to the top. I'm by no means finished up there yet. I just wanted to lay down my base colors, and then we'll go back up and work on it some more to darken things up and everything. So I'm just getting those layers in. Make sure you work with a fairly sharp pencil. This is a beautifully smooth paper, and the sharper your pencil is, the easier it is for it to get into those little tiny grooves that are there, and that will give you a better coverage as well. So just use a very light hand because you don't want it to break, and like as in the tip, you don't want the tip to break, and just go in with tiny little circles as you are trying to cover the space here. It is, had it had a little bit more surface area that's not so, I don't want to say cluttered, but that didn't have so much like leaves and things, I probably could have gone in with like a blending solution and made this a little bit easier. But I'm gonna try, after this I will try with the blender pencil from Prismacolor to see if that will help a little bit. I do also have my Derwent Drawing, and I'll probably use a little bit of both, I think, just for the blending. So I'm pretty much done with this color now, and I'm going to go back in again with my Cobalt Blue, bring this all the way up to the bottom of that branch, and just have it a nice blended sort of fade into the colors there. Obviously when I go over with the blender pencil as well, that should hopefully help a little bit, and we are probably putting on a few more layers after this anyway. going to go ahead now and use my Prismacolor colorless blender. I haven't used this one before, so I'm interested to see how it works, but I won't show you absolutely all of it. I'm just going to go over absolutely everything that we've just colored. I'm going in lightly. I'm not trying to burnish or anything like this. I just want to give it a little bit of a blend together and then give us a nice smooth sort of surface to then add a few more layers onto and darken this night sky up even more. So I've blended everything and it's a little bit smoother now. I'm going to go back in again with the same colors and do exactly the same one more time. I will show you because I probably end up sort of overlapping a little bit here and there that I might not have done before. So I'll just go ahead and just go in with the indigo first. Sorry, I did cut off the top there, but I did bring this all the way up to the very top corner there and then brought it down. And then I'll go in with Indanthrene again and then work my way down. Alright, I'm just going to quickly show you where we're at. I still want to get a little bit more darkness up to the top areas there and maybe sort of around the branches. So I'm going to go in now with some blacks, and I might bring out my Derwent Drawing Chinese White as well and do a bit of blending with that. Well, I think that worked actually really well with that Derwent drawing. I'm layering in this black and it's actually coming out really nicely and looks really nice and smooth. So I'll just test out with the Indanthrene Blue down a little bit, and then I'll go back and do the black up the top and down the side, and then we'll work in where I'll add the blacks and everything. I think I'll probably do some black then around some of the top upper branches, maybe with some of the indigo, and I'll probably lighten it up as I go down, but I still want it slightly darker just around the branches. Alright, just after this here, I did change pencils, but I forgot to show you. So right now, I've started back again with the black just at that very top corner there. I'm just working my way down, and I do show you when I change it again, but I just want to let you know that I'm not on the Indanthrene here. I am using my black. So that worked really well with that Derwent drawing, so I'm going to go ahead now and just use that all the way down, and then we'll go in with the rest of these dark colors around the branches. So let me just grab that out and I'll show you a little bit more how I'll go in between and everything, where I really want it nice and smooth, and that way we can layer these dark colors without it looking too patchy. So I'm going to go ahead now and just use my black around these upper branches. I'll probably change to a slightly lighter shade just as I'm getting further down, maybe like with the Indigo and Indanthrene, but I will speed up from here as you've already seen what I'm doing. Alright, I'm swearing I'm nearly finished with this black, oh not black, with the back sky here. I'm just going to go in with a little bit of this dark indigo, and then we're going to get started with those top leaves there and the trees. Alright, it's time to start with these leaves. I'm going to start with the bigger ones up the top here. I'm going to be using some pine green. I want them dark, which is why I'm going in with my darker color first. So I'm doing the pine green where I want my darker areas to be. And then I'm going to go in with my earth green yellowish. I think either that one or May green. I'm not 100% sure yet. Let me see. And then I'm thinking of also using my indigo blue just to really blue them up a little bit, especially sort of where I have the shade. So they're a good one, especially for sort of nighttime. The indigo blue is a nice shade to use on your leaves. Alright, I ended up deciding on the May green just to get a little bit more of a contrast between the lights and the darks. Just because we got that little bit of light maybe sort of coming down from underneath. So I'll use those in there, and then I'll go in with that indigo. Now, definitely the tip when you're doing a lot of leaves that are similar is just do one color at a time on all of the leaves. If you're doing one leaf at a time and finishing them, you're gonna spend a whole lot of time dropping down pencils and picking them up again. So this just sort of saves a whole lot of time by just finishing off each color before you start the next. I'm just going to give these a little bit of a blend with my Derwent Drawing, and then I'll add a little bit more colour over the top, and they should look really nice and smooth. So I'm just going to do these little top books here first, and then we're going to get started on the trees. So probably these top ones here, I'll make them relatively darkish. I don't want them too light just because they're quite far away from the light source. So I'll do them in my little earthy colours, I think, but I probably with the lower ones I might bring in some slightly lighter ones. If you want, while you have these colours out, go ahead and just do some of the books on the other side as well. I won't show you all of those, especially not the ones standing up, because I'll do them pretty similar to these ones here. But I'll show you the one book that's sort of hanging over the branch. I will show you that one. For the trees, I will show you the one on this side and just do exactly the same on the other side as well. The first thing we're going to do is just layer the entire tree in just this Nougat color. I'm not going in hard, I'm just want a bit of a layer down. First, I got my pencil nice and sharp. As you see, I'm going in light hand, small circles, just to give it a bit of a cover. And then I'm probably going to use quite a lot of different brown tones on this, and I'm thinking of even pulling in some greens as well. Now just go ahead and layer this all the way down to the bottom of the tree. I'll show you quickly, I'll do this off camera, but I'll show you quickly what I did down the bottom. So this is what it's looking like now for me, and then this is how I did the bottom part. So you can see I've left the foreground bare, so I'm probably going to do something different there. I did spot, I'm just going to show you just here on the right hand side there is a line missing, so I just lined up the top line there and the bottom line, and just sort of put it in with brown there, or the Nougat color. So I just went down the bottom there and just left the rest of it, and I'll probably use a lot of green tones at the front there. Alright, so this is what we're up to, so let's keep going. So on these trees, I've decided I want the highlights to be underneath the branches and the shadows to be on top, based on the fact that we have those lights from the bottom and the sky is lighter down there. So I'm going to go in now with my burnt umber, and I'm just layering down a light layer on the top of the branches. So go ahead and do this on both the trees on either side, and for this one I will show you all the way down what I do, because obviously it changes a little bit. I'll go in darker some places and not so dark other places, so I will definitely show the whole tree for this. So while I go mostly on the top there, wherever there are like little lines and things, I might extend them out a little bit, like there's a little bit of a crinkle there that might be more shaded. So that could be both on the top and underneath as well. So just sort of whatever there is, sort of little lumps and bumps on the trees, I'll add a little bit of extra shade. Now, as I said, I will be using quite a fair few brown tones with this. So I'll do this one now. I'll probably add in some Walnut Brown, maybe some Sienna, like burnt Sienna. And I'll probably go back in with the Nougat as well, just to sort of blend things a little bit smoother. And I'm thinking, I mentioned that I might go in with some greens. There is I think it's the olive green, yellowish, I think, which I kind of find that it kind of looks a little bit like moss. So I'm thinking of using that sort of a little bit here and there to make it look like there is moss growing on this tree. But I'll probably add that maybe at the very end. And I probably might also add in a little bit of black as well, I'm thinking, just for sort of on the top where I want it like really, really dark. But I'll wait towards the end with that. So I've decided to go in with a bit of burnt sienna, just sort of here and there. I'm not really doing much of a method to everything. I'll add a little bit sort of where I got some shading. Might add some patches sort of in some of the lighter areas. Just sort of to have a little bit of play on different colours and things on this tree. And obviously, just like I mentioned before, do this on both of the trees, so on either side of the paper, and that way you don't have to try to remember what you did afterwards after we finish. So just go ahead and do it all, and I'll move my way down so you'll see what I do the whole way down on this side as well. Alright, I'm nearly done with this burnt sienna. I want to do more on this tree, but I want to just take a little bit of a break and do some leaves for a while. So just show you quickly where we're up to. So this is what it looks like on both sides now, and I'll go ahead and I'll start the leaves. So with the leaves, I'm going to go ahead and just start out from the top. I'm going to have them a little bit darker up the top, and just as I work my way down, I'll just lighten them slightly. So I'm using the permanent green olive for all of these sort of top leaves. I'm just coloring them all in, and then I'll add some darker colors to them just to add a little bit of shading. I'm thinking probably the bottom leaves, like the one on the very lower branches, I'm probably going to use like the light green, I think, just to sort of, because they're nice and close to the light, so they'll be much lighter. just to darken these leaves up a little bit more and blue them up a little bit more, I'm just going to go in with my dark indigo and just add it just sort of up the very top, just for a little bit of extra shading and just a little bit more blue than that compared to what that pine green can give. So I'm going to go in now with the earth green yellowish, and I'm doing these as the base layer for these sort of middle sets of leaves. So the one sort of, well, sort of the middle little branches, and then as I mentioned before, I'll go even lighter down on the very bottom ones. on these little books here on the lower branch, I'll just go with slightly brighter colours. So I thought this Cobalt Green was really cool. So this is the deep one. And then I'll probably use either the Cobalt Green or the light Cobalt Turquoise, I think, just for the highlighted area there. And I'll go in with some like purpley violety colours as well, I think. And I want to do one of the books in like a bit of a gold colour, I think. So you can just go ahead and do similar colours again on the opposite side. Don't have to be exactly the same. You can change out a colour or two. You can have more highlight, less highlight, whatever you feel like. So I did mention before that I wasn't quite done with the tree yet. I just needed a little bit of a break of it. So I'm just going to keep going with this walnut brown, and I'm going to do some really nice dark areas for this. So I'm thinking some walnut brown, maybe some black tones in there just to make it really dark. So I'm trying to go in and create more shadows. I'm going to go dark, sort of especially around where that little vine is creeping up there. I'll put in the shadows there. Again, I can add more later on, so I'm not going to colour in the vine today. I'll do that in part 2 because this is already becoming quite a long video again. So I'll just go ahead now. I'll use these, and I'm thinking of also using that green. I want to add in sort of like some mossy areas as well. And as before, I'm only showing this left tree. Just go ahead and do the same thing on the right hand side as well. So I've darkened things up a bit with that Walnut Brown. I'm going to go in now with my Nougat and just add another layer all over. So especially sort of where those light areas are. I still want them light, but I need a little bit more colour in there. So I'm just adding that extra sort of second layer of the Nougat before I'm going in with my black and my olive green yellowish. Alright, we've got some more shadows in place. I'm going to go in now with my olive green yellowish, and I'm just going to add some little areas sort of randomly here and there. I'm not going to go all over, but I'm just sort of trying to add some like little mossy patches sort of here and there. Now, of course, I'm doing exactly the same on this bottom part here. I did manage to cut off that little bit of root that's sort of down the very bottom of the page there, but just go ahead and just do similar. So adding that walnut brown down the very bottom of it, and a little bit of black and swirl on top, and then the nougat and the olive green sort of wherever you feel like. So I'm just finishing off with that little bit of moss and things on this side. Now I haven't done this other side yet, hopefully you have, but I just wanted to show you the difference now with that extra layer. So obviously the way it was before we added those extra layers was still fine. Like, you know, you can still see that the branches are a little bit rounded, they had the highlight underneath and the shadows, but just because it's, you know, you've got some color down on the paper doesn't necessarily mean that it's done. So you can see it's much more lively and you've much more sort of full of shapes and little creases and stuff now that we've gone in with those other colors. So I'm just going to quickly show you how I do that little book that hangs over the branch there. I'm just doing it in the Venetian red, and then I think we are pretty much done, and I'll show you both trees when they're all finished with everything, and then we'll go ahead and call it the day. There we go, just finishing off putting on these little last minute shadows on this book, and I'm ready to show you the, well, part 1 finished product. So there you go. As you can see, the trees look a lot darker in real life than what they come up on the video, so just go ahead and add those shadows like crazy. I hope you've enjoyed watching with me today and following along if you are. If you did, I'd love it if you'd give it a thumbs up. It helps send the video out to other people who might like to watch it as well. I wish you all a colourful day, and I can't wait to see you again next time.